What's popping? What's popping? What's popping? Welcome to No Blankets Podcast, where we engage in the raw, unfiltered discussions that leave no topic covered up. We rocking season 1, episode 8, y'all, entitled Leadership Accountability Through the Fog, Navigating Marriage Through Dementia. And yes, it's your girl and your host, C. West. Now, do your girl a favor. You know how we roll. Migrate on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe and notification bell to get that alert when we go live at No Blankets Podcast. Shout out to my sponsors, my girl, my little sis, T Money of T Money Beats. Shout out to Miss Ely Chandler of Chandler and Company. They call her the Hat Lady. You know, she keeps her head game fly with them fedora hats for men and women. Shout out to the undercover brother, the Lance, private investigator and process server. Shout out to the hardest working man, boots on the ground, the Mr. Ronnie Cobb. He's the host of Cut to the Chase and Cut to the Chase, the Crown Edition. Shout out to my man, 100 grand, the Dr. Bishop Kenneth L. Davis and his lovely wife, my cousin, Miss Rhonda Davis. Dr. Davis is responsible for my podcast design, commercial intros, and them dope social media flyers. So if you're in need of that crispy look to take your podcast to another level, hit Dr. Davis up and all the other sponsors' information. They will be included in the comments below. Also, I always like to give a shout out to the late but never forgotten the Bishop Sherwood Carthen, who said, and I quote, "Don't ever stop following a true legend, but make sure you identify with one is." This platform, family, is a space to highlight the importance of disseminating information that keeps the viewers engaged in conversations that will provide clarity surrounding each topic that we cover. Tonight, we're highlighting the difficult and compassionate love story, if I may coin the phrase, of one woman's heroics to stay committed in marriage when suddenly the unexpected discovery of Lewy body dementia shifted their lives. Lewy body dementia, or LBD, is a brain disorder that can lead to problems with thinking, movement, behavior, mood swings, hallucinations, or even seeing things that are not there. These are more of the common symptoms that tend to happen early on. More than 1.4 million people in the United States are diagnosed with LBD, which is one of the most common forms of dementia. It's a progressive disease, meaning symptoms start slowly and worsen over time. Although younger people can have Lewy body dementia, it typically begins at age 50 or older. People with Lewy body dementia live on an average 5 to 8 years, but may live as few as 2 years or as long as 20 years from the time of the diagnosis to death. How fast symptoms develop and change, it will vary depending on the person's overall health, age, and level of symptoms. My guest's journey is inspirational, and her inspirational story of relentless passion and empathy. She has over 40 years of experience as a hairstylist and a business owner. And baby, her professionalism and vision in the industry speaks volumes. She's an author, motivational speaker, a self-care life coach, and is now speaking to men and women in and out of the salon through her YouTube channel, Inner Beauty by Design. She's educating her audience on how to stay healthy spiritually, mentally, and physically in the midst of adversity. Our guest has been instrumental with her testimony, which gained the attention of legislation that passed the AB 2047 bill for a trainer toolkit for the purpose of assessing patients' cognitive complaints and facilitating diagnosis for better care and a more timely diagnosis to Lewy body dementia. Also, You can find her story on YouTube called Facing the Wind, Lewy Body Dimension documentary. Ladies and gentlemen, here to share her heartfelt experience and testimony. It's my pleasure to share this space and platform with our special guest tonight, Miss Carla Prayer. How you doing, sis?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, I've seen you from the beginning and I've seen you at the end. And when the Most High put this particular topic on my heart, I had no idea of the layers that it was going to manifest. And so when I think about leaders in the community, especially powerful Black men, you come to the forefront. You definitely come to the forefront. Your courageous, relentless compassion with Patrick what was amazing. And so I wanted to be able to give you this space to not just tell your testimony, but also to heighten and highlight the awareness of Lewy body dementia. So if you don't mind, give us the beginning. Introduce yourself. If there's anything that I left out, I will have to tell y'all she is the GOAT. When I say she got bars with those flat irons, and this is what she always told me. Well, she came, she assessed my little shop and looked at my products and my gear. She picked up my scissors. She said, "Well, so for starters, we're going to have to step your shear game up from 24 $200 and something dollars shears, and then product. Product. You can't wash your client's hair with Tresemme." So I thank you for all of the wisdom, all of the games, sis, and just for the light and love of your story. I am very honored to share this space with you. So please introduce yourself for our viewers tonight.
Well, yes, I think you did a pretty good job of it, Carla Prayer. I've been in the business for well over 40 years. My goodness. So in the hair industry, um, and down the road, I'm minding my own business, and as time goes on, um, I met my husband, Patrick. We met as a blind date. And I was not looking. I wasn't thinking about going that direction. I was at peace by myself. And then one morning I was telling a client that I wanted to take up ballroom dancing.
Yeah.
And later on that evening, a totally different client came in the salon and said, "Carla, you want to go ballroom? Do you like ballroom dancing?" I just told my client this morning I want to take it up. Now, mind you, this is long before Dancing with the Stars. So we met for dinner to decide what studio we're going to go take these classes for. Unbeknownst to me, his cousin, she was sizing me up. She thought I was a pretty nice lady, and she wanted me to meet her cousin.
Okay, little Cupid going on.
Yeah, a little Cupid going on.
Okay.
So we met, and then next thing I know, I was walking down the aisle. 10 months later.
That brother put that thing on you, Carla. He put it on you, didn't he? That's my fatty. That boy, look, he's smooth operator. Smooth.
Yeah. It just came out of nowhere. So things were great. We married in 2001, and things are rolling right along. And then about 2013, I noticed his demeanor was changing. He was getting to be more and more intense. And so I'm like, okay, he needs to slow down. He's working too much, and I'm thinking that's what it is. And then towards the end of 13, I see it happening more, and he was complaining more about things happening on the job. And he he felt like, they were testing him on the job. They want me out of there. And this, I'm like, well, hon, well, if that's the case and you're that stressed, let's just go ahead and get you retired. Let's go ahead and retire. And he didn't want to, but I didn't like seeing him stressed. And then one day, it was February 19th, he called me, meet me at the doctor's office. I meet him. I get there, and he has tears in his eyes. I said, babe. He said, I can't go back to work. I said, well, you know what? You don't have to. Let this place go. We've been talking about you retiring. We had already started setting up things to have him to retire. We was already considering selling the home. All those things we was considering. So thank God those things was mentally and emotionally in place. I told him, I said, let this place close. Now, let me be transparent. I was a little more flavorful than that.
Okay.
So he, we went into the office. We got him.
When you say flavorful, did you have to like talk him into it with a little bit?
No, I was a little more frustrated with how stressed he was with the job and how he was coming home with that stress, and it would upset me, So I'm trying to comfort him in his stress, but I'm ready to go to the job and take care of whoever I needed to take care of. I mean, I was angry for him.
Sure.
So I wanted to fix it. Things
Absolutely.
started switching places where he always wanted to take care of, fix things for me. You know how men are.
Right.
And now he started, when I say his personality changing, he started really leaning on me for a lot of things. And so when I told him, let this place go. And that's what I mean. Like, I was a little more flavorful than just saying let this place go. So we get him retired May 31st. He retired. Now, in between that, from February and May, he was on disability, on like a worker's disability. But at May 31st, they said, okay, we're going to release him to go back to work. He had a full blown out panic attack. He was sweating. I said, oh no. I wrote the letter right then for him and emailed it to his boss and said, I'm retiring. Did it in Patrick's voice, and sent it in. So from May 31st to 2014, there was a lot of change. We sold our home. And, now thinking of good is one thing, it was good that we sold the home right then. But then there was another level of stress also, because selling the home, that was his pride and joy. We were like in a 3,000 square foot home, and we sold it and moved into a 700 square foot apartment.
That's drastic.
That's a lot of love. That's what it is.
Right.
So then we stayed there 6 months, and then we bought a smaller home because I wanted to make sure we downsized and we could handle it on my income, because I didn't want to fool with his retirement. I wanted to make sure that we were straight. So we finally bought another home. It was still nowhere near. It was like 1180 square feet. Still not what he was used to. So we were there for about 5 years. And then things are progressing, and, it was a journey like you can't imagine. Just to what, first of all, it hurt my heart. I was so hurt for him because he loved that home. That was his home before we got married. And then to watch him just shrink from this big, strong man to turn it into this really like needful person, really dependent on me. And then he became to a point he didn't want to go anywhere without me.
So these stages, if I can, are real imperative. They're real imperative to the listeners today who maybe have parents that they're taking care of or spouses maybe. Um, so can I ask you, because um, Lewy body dementia mirrors it's it mirrors some of the symptoms of aging, or say a woman in menopause. How were you? Did you actually get a diagnosis by then, or did you just, when you went to the hospital, was that when he called you and said that with the tears in his eyes, did you all have the diagnosis then?
Oh no, 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 no.
Okay.
We didn't get a
Okay.
diagnosis till 4 years later, and he was up under treatment, being seen by the psychologist, his medical doctor, and they kept telling us it was mild cognitive impairment.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, in the beginning, well, maybe, yeah. Okay, mild cognitive. He's off work. I did see, now, mind you, in 2013, I started notice the memory loss. Well, actually, let me back up. There were some things about his memory. I remember thinking when we got married, man, he sure does have a bad memory. He need to slow down.
Mm.
Maybe he need to slow down. And then speed up to 2014, we get him retired out of all the stress, and his memory did come from here and come back up. I said, okay, that's what it was. He was just stressed. He needed, so we was coasting for about a year, but he still had memory issues, but it wasn't as bad as it was when he was stressed.
Mm-hmm.
So we was calling that, the doctor saying they thought it was pseudo dementia,
Mm-hmm.
which is brought on by stress and depression.
Mm-hmm.
Then it kept going, and then I started noticing the decline in his stress again.
Mm-hmm.
I said, something's going on, and I kept taking him back, at least every 6 months to a year. So, mild cognitive impairment. Mild. In the meantime, his personality is getting more needy, uh, more fearful of things, or like he was getting jumpy. Like, what's that? What is that? And he was already a super protective person. He was in
Mm-hmm.
the operating room. He was an operating room nurse, so he was super protective and always looking and being on defense or making sure he was protecting me anyway.
Right.
So then you add this illness on top of it. It was heightened. Making sure the doors are locked. Making sure, and then things, now unbeknownst to me, he could have been having the early stages of hallucinations, not
Mm.
knowing they're still saying early cognitive. So now let's speed up to 2017, still no diagnosis. Then we get to 2018. I said, okay, I'm done. Luckily, because I chose to communicate about what was going on with him, that I started getting help. People were telling me, go here, go there. Here's a support. Here. So I did everything people shared with me. Then I took him to Stanford. I took him out of his network and took him to Stanford. And that's when I got the diagnosis in 2018. So I
Would
took that.
would you would you would you say that was a second opinion and probably the greatest
No. That wasn't a second opinion. That was, well, if you're meaning
in
the second,
terms of taking out of his network? Did you say that the network that you were involved with wasn't answering your questions, wasn't
yes,
getting you the information, and so you took it to, I need a second opinion,
right,
or I need a deeper
yes,
dive into? That's great.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
That's
And
good.
I
So
didn't even look at it like a second opinion. I looked
yeah,
at it as the opinion,
sure.
because once I took him out of the network and got the diagnosis, I took their findings back to his network. And then that's when they ordered a PET scan from his network because of what Stanford said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, uh, I feel that could have been, that test could have been done a lot sooner,
Mm-hmm.
because we missed out on different testing. We missed out on research. We missed out on a lot because 4 years had passed. And
Mm-hmm.
research, definitely, they want you early stages.
Right.
So in the midst from 18 moving forward, he was having hallucinations.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting more and more paranoid.
Right.
Uh, Then it was not remembering who was who. And there was many times he didn't know who I was. He knew I was somebody that loved him dearly, and he knew that he was safe with me. That he never lost that. And then one year we had a Christmas celebration at the house, and he was sitting there. He said, "That man over there sounds like my son." And I looked at him and I said, "It is your son." And that's when I said, "Okay, this is getting closer." He said, "Where?" And I took him just across the room, just, probably 6 feet away. And I said, "Hey, here he is right here." And he looked up. And at that moment, he did not want anyone to know what was going on, because he just didn't want the attention. He didn't want to stress the family. He didn't. So once we told the immediate family, he was okay with people knowing.
Okay.
But it's interesting, he didn't, but he just didn't want the family, because a lot of times family can go one way or the other. They can either be overly helpful or stressed, or whatever the reason may be, or not helpful at all. So in that, I had to really talk to him. So once we got the diagnosis in 2018, me and the youngest son, we made it a point to tell the rest of the family, because I was like, "Patrick, I cannot carry this alone. It's too much for me. I cannot do this. I can't do this alone." I said, "I have to tell PJ that no matter who, PJ must know." So we told him, told the boys, and moving forward. In the midst of that, in 2019, my mom passed away. And that was the first time at her repast that he did not know who I was. About a double whammy.
So in the midst of your grieving, in the midst of being around your family and some that didn't know, here you have the surprise and unexpected moment where you yourself were unrecognizable to your husband. Carla, tell me, how did that feel? I mean, I can't even imagine. I wouldn't imagine someone that I mean, when you're talking about marriage and intimacy and love and companionship and time shared, to have 14 years, am I correct, before the diagnosis of marriage?
It was 12 years.
12 years with someone, and then suddenly those same eyes that have always looked at you and brought you in, to that warm and fuzzy space, suddenly those eyes are filled, with uncertainty. Carla, tell me, how did you deal with that in that moment?
I was scared.
Take your time, sis.
Didn't know wasn't sure really which way to turn. It was quite fearful. It was, and let me begin. Early on, I was in denial. I was in denial until that moment. that, okay, we can beat this. I can get him on healthy foods. I brought his blood sugar level down. I got him off all his medication prior to that because I took care of his diet. And I literally got him his blood pressure, his diabetes, everything down. I can get his brain back.
Right.
So that denial turned into a reality at my mom's repast. I was thankful to be there with my family and my younger brother. He was sitting across the table from me when it happened. And I looked at Patrick because he was a jokester too. He was shy, but he was a jokester. And I looked at him and he said, "What is your name?" I said, "My name is Carla." Like, he recognized the name. I said, "Carla Prayer." He said, "That's my name." And I sat there because I didn't want to bring, and my younger brother across from me, he saw the look on my face and he came. He said, "What's up?" I said, "You don't know who I am." And so, but he still stuck with me. I was still someone he trusted. But when I tell you, that was like the bottom was just snatched out from under me. Because to go through that denial and thinking I was able to help him with every other his illnesses, got him to lose weight, I can do this too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Carla,
so when we get home
go ahead.
That evening, I will say, just to let you know, it's a roller coaster. We get to my mom's house that evening after the repast. And we go up and look. He goes to the mantle where the fireplace is and look over the mantle, and he sees our wedding picture. And he says, "Look at me and my beautiful wife." So it comes and it goes. And it was like I had hope again. I went back to the denial again, thinking we can fix this, we can beat this. It's a journey. Lewy Body, a friend of mine has a Lewy podcast, the Lewy Body Roller Coaster. That's exactly what this journey is for them and for me.
Tell me, what did it take for you to hold it all together? What were the tools that you used? I know what it was, but I just want you to tell our listeners tonight, what was it that you had to root yourself in, sister, to make it through these days and nights?
First and foremost, God. I hunkered down like I never have before in my life, in my faith. I didn't always make it to church, but when I tell you, my faith in God grew at a level that I never knew it could grow. Exercise. I did a lot of exercising. As a matter of fact, I joined him in with me in exercising. The picture that you showed a minute ago, that was because the exercising helped him.
That's a beautiful picture, sis.
Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't have my Kleenex ready.
That's okay. That's okay. So he was able to do smaller activities during certain stages.
In the beginning, he was able, we had walked over into the beach to do that, and he was able to do most things. He didn't stop driving until 2018 when Stanford gave him that diagnosis. That's when they took his license. But back to that, God, exercise, my support. I had support all around. Um, Friends, my Bible study group, different friends would come and take time with him. One of my clients, her husband, lifesaver, he said, look, I'm going to donate 4 hours every other week to him. Well, he never kept that up. Matter of fact, he came every week and did 4 to 6, sometimes 8 hours a week. And just because he felt like he needed to do that for another brother, something that you don't always see, for one brother to do that for, and he had never met Patrick before in his life until that day he came over to meet him with the intentions to come over and sit with him while I go do whatever I need to do.
Respite.
Yes, yes, yes. So prayer, exercise, and I will say, I know for a fact that God chose me to escort him through this journey. There was things that happened to me at age 5 that happened 5 days before I got married. And so many milestones that led me up even before I met him that confirmed who Patrick was to me. And that's a whole nother podcast.
Right, right.
So I know I was chosen.
Do me a
to walk
favor,
with him.
Carla. Do me a favor. Walk us through a 24-hour day with Patrick. Because, like I said, doing a podcast could be, oh my God, I got a podcast, right? But it's work. And the work comes in the investigation and the research of each topic, especially as it pertains to the African American community, or I'll say a Kabbalah American community. And that's a topic for another podcast. But and it's layers. It's just layers, cognitive decline, it deals with your attention. It's difficulty following conversations or following a story. And then you have what's called executive functions. And that's basically being able to plan trips or meals for the week, multitasking, problem solving, and difficulty staying on a task. Then you have, your I can't even pronounce this, visual function, which is your tendency to get lost, assembling things, drawing, writing, recognizing faces and places. And then quite evidently you have memory, your forgetfulness, misplacing objects, forgetting appointments, or accessing memories, retrieving information. Walk us through a day towards maybe like the last 2 years, 3 years. Walk us through a 24-hour day with Patrick.
Well, it was so much change, First of all, early morning, it was for me, prayer and meditation. Prayer, that was a must, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And then I would exercise on my own. Then I would get him up. And at that time, the early part of it, I would get him in the shower the night before. So I didn't have to shower him in the morning. So when I would get him up, get him dressed, he needed assistance. It's at this point about a year, like 2018, about 2020, he needed assistance getting dressed. Get him dressed, get him up, feed him his breakfast, take his blood pressure, take his sugar levels every morning, because if I needed to know if he was having a Lewy body attack or if his sugar dropped too low attack. We go for a walk, and many times when we go for a walk, by the time we get outside and get right around that corner, he would look at me, and the way the sun would hit my face, he would look at me and say, "Where you been?" And I've been with him all morning. I'm like, "Boy, I've been with you all morning. Quit playing with me." And I knew he wasn't playing, but I just tried to make it light. So we go for a walk. Some days he's walking slow. Some days he's walking fast. Some days he's trying to pick up the manhole plate off the ground. Some days, but I used my dog, he's sitting here next to me. I used him to keep him on track, because if he was holding the leash and he knew a ways around the neighborhood, he would keep him pulling.
Mm-hmm.
When if I pull him, that was going to be some agitation if I tried to nudge him on. And when when they having these moments, you need to just dance with them to their music, no matter what type of music they're listening to.
Say that again, Carla. Say that again, because that was another question I was going to ask you as I was doing the research, even on different social media platforms where children, partners, even grandchildren are taking care of dementia patients. That was the thing. Like, there was this one young lady taking care of her grandmother, and her grandmother just put a paper to her ear, and she was talking on the phone, and she's just charting her journey with us live.
Mm-hmm.
And grandmother circles around and around and around. Why is it important to not interfere? And how long do those moments usually last? Is it like a brief moment of they're doing their how do you, I'm trying to get into your space, and when they're getting ready to I don't even know the term, shift into another kind of reality, if I could say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you walk with that?
A lot of prayer, but you just literally have to train yourself
Mm-hmm.
to dance to their tune. Whatever they in, if they see a goat on top of the house barking, I was like, dang, you have to be in there with them. Like, I didn't know goats could bark. Really? Did you notice that, Patrick? Did you know goats could bark? No. You have to be, and then change the subject, then veer off.
So you kind of guide them out.
Guide them out. You don't argue. Goats don't bark, and there's no goat up there. You don't fight with them on it. You assist them in the conversation.
I don't know who When the Moment Chooses You podcast.
Yes.
Female or male?
Female. Charlene
Well,
Johnson.
your sister says we holding space and continually praying for you, sister.
Oh,
shout out to
Charlene.
When the Moment Chooses You podcast. D. Richard.
She's one of the ladies in my support group, in my Louis Body support group, actually, and we're still support sisters together in the Widows group. We don't call ourselves widows. We're what are we? We're the graduates.
Okay. Yeah. Miss Valina Preston.
BFF for life.
She says, thank you for educating us. She's so proud of you, Sean Stewart and the bishop. Carla, I have 150,000 questions for you, but towards the end of this podcast, could you walk us through the last week? Okay, so you got the diagnosis. I'm sure it wasn't anything that you were expecting, but I have to give you your flowers. I have to just give you your accolades, because so many times we see marriages dissipating for less, right? So when you stood up and said, for rich or poor, in sickness and in health, until death do us part, you meant that. And so you're a trailblazer, like your girl said. I gotta piggyback on that. You are, you know, a trailblazer, and the Most High gives us and equips us with things in our life, being He, the author of it, right? That we don't even know exist in us. And so being able to pull that strength out. So many times I called and you were just exhausted, just, and all I could do is pray, is just pray, 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 pray. And then again, going through the information and the research on dementia, um, it's kind of like an umbrella, Carla. Like dementia's the diagnosis, and then you have the arms, right? Like you have all Alzheimer's and vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, and frontal lobal dementia, like Bruce Willis has. But tell us about that last that last week, that you had with Patrick.
The last week, by then he started having seizures. One morning, I was in the kitchen making breakfast, and I heard a loud crash. I heard a loud crash, and I just sprinted to the bedroom to see. It sounded like the whole bed had collapsed on top of him. It was a loud kaboom. Well, thank God, I can't stress support groups enough. You have to I've been in support groups and I figured out what it was because I didn't see it happen. It started out with small jerks, like maybe 10 years earlier, little trembles. And then the jerks got bigger and harder. Those were mini seizures, not knowing what it was. And then they was getting harder. So when I ran into the bedroom, and as soon as I got in there and busted in the door, he said, "What was that?" And I looked at him. The way he was turned, his head was up against the headboard. He had a hard jerk. Now, mind you, I had just saw a jerk a week before sitting in the chair. He jerked so hard, he raised up off the chair, just like came up. He was like, "Why am I doing that?" I said, "Baby, your body's just going through changes." Well, that was a clue. That was a clue to what was getting ready, what was coming. So then, between the jerks and his appetite leaving, he had gone from 270 pounds down to 140. Moving forward, that morning, that was the morning. It was Martin Luther King, 2003, Martin Luther King holiday. I remember thinking after I got him dressed and got him, eating his breakfast, took his blood pressure and did everything I need to do, I was saying, "Lord, please don't let this happen while the caregiver's here." Mm-hmm. Now, for me to pray that means God was trying to download. He was letting me know. Because 10 minutes after I left, I was in the salon chair getting a pedicure. She calls me. "Mr. Patrick had a seizure. Come home." When I got here, the paramedics was here. He was out of it completely. He had a seizure standing up here in this kitchen, had a seizure, and she was on the other side of the counter, and she tried to catch him, but she didn't get there fast enough. He fell and hit his head on the ceramic floor, ceramic tile floor. Go to the hospital. He was there for 4.5 days, and not knowing exactly where we were, I had the hospital bed delivered to my home because I was bringing him home.
Right.
I was my goal, I told him I would keep him home until it became a threat to my health or our security. And I held up to that. And I had the hospital bed delivered to my home. And I spent the night with him at the hospital, both nights. And I realized what I was getting ready to bring home. All the other agitation of him not knowing who I was. And I didn't even touch half the stuff that happened with Patrick before he even got to this point. He would have anger sessions. He had balled up his fist because he would say, because I keep my hair short. So that's why I always wore big earrings so he would know I was a girl, and a red lipstick. And I'm like, hey, would you, leave me, sir, leave me alone. Do I look like a sir? And I'll be honest, I had to be on my feet and be quick about how, do I look like a girl? Do guys have
these? you had to work. Listen, you had to get out. Oh my goodness. I'm laughing. You understand? You okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no. Hey, I believe in laughter.
You could have went and put sew the weave on real quick. You stop playing.
No, I'm not doing it. I just
put a little piece
I
right
wasn't
there.
This short. I didn't go this short because it would have been way too confusing. I had a little hair. So when I stayed all night in the hospital with him, I realized what I was bringing home, and that's when I said, I'm tapped out. I can't. It took 3 of us, 2 nurses and myself, to change him. The scene in the hospital, I don't talk about much. And I've never said this publicly.
Thank you, Lord.
Because his severe of agitation in the hospital, because it was foreign. They put him in this netting around the entire bed so he couldn't get out. I mean, basically, they caged him in. That's when I said I had to stay in the hospital with him because I did not want him in that cage. But it was for the safety. I don't blame them. It was for his safety, for other patients' safety, for the nurses' safety. So it was something. Others talked about, I would have had a fit. No, you have to understand all components of this journey. So when I saw that it took 3 of us to care for him, I called to check to see what it would take to bring him home. Well, because I would need 2 caregivers, it was going to cost me a minimum of $20,000 a month to care for him in my home.
Wow.
I could not. And I had to really remember what I said until it became a threat to his security or my health. But when I tell you, you can't be naive and kill yourself. That was one of the hardest decisions I have ever had to make in my life, is putting him in a care facility. I was ripped to pieces on my own, beating myself up because I did not want to put him in a facility, but I had no choice. By the time he got to a facility, he had one burst out, and we thought he was going to be totally out of it, but he had one burst out when he was up walking around. I'm telling you, Louis' body is crazy. He was going, and they had him in a facility that was a calm facility. They weren't equipped to take care of him. So we got him, they actually sent him back to the hospital and then back to another facility that was equipped. By the time he got to the second facility, he never stood on his own again. He, one of the days, just to get him up, I had to literally, pick him up. He was able to lean on me and move him to the chair. and then get things situated. And I let him sit there because I just didn't want him laying down so pneumonia would catch up to him.
Was
And
he
then
able to recognize you? Was there any recognition still, or did that part of the dementia?
I'm not sure. When he was in the hospital the second time, he came to, and something he always did, he would grab me, come here, girl, and grab me by my neck and just hug me like that and bring me on in. So he knew who I was then. I'm not sure at that moment, but when I had to go home and shower, and when I got back that last day, the hospice nurse said that, he opened his eyes for a few minutes, um, and then closed them again. And then when I was there, he heard my voice talking, and he was like, and I looked, I said, hey, babe. And his movement let me know he knew it was
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the last day. Um, it's interesting. I mean, you got to find the peace and everything. But one of the things I've always said to him, please don't leave without me being present.
Mm.
And the hospice nurse said to me, hey, is your son going to make it? I said, he'll be down. She said, why don't you call him so he can say hi to his dad? Hospice is amazing. So I called, let him talk to his dad and say, hey, why don't you holler at your dad? Not knowing what the hospice nurse was seeing.
Mm-hmm.
He said, hey, Dad, how you doing? Hang in there. I'm on my way, because he lives out of state. He said, I'm on my way. I'll be down there. He was amazing, Dad, giving him, his flowers.
Mm-hmm.
I said, PJ, he knows it's you, because his eyebrows went up when he said, hey, Dad.
Yeah.
The eyebrow went up. I said, he knows
Yeah.
it's you. And his foot started wiggling. And so he was talking to him. And so when he started back talking to me, I took him back off a speakerphone and just so I could talk. And he took 3 breaths. And he was out. He said, I'm going to glory, baby. He didn't say that, but
Yeah.
I was holding his hand, which was my wish, and he heard his baby's voice.
This story is remarkable. The journey, the journey of the compassion, the strength, the heroics, the commitment of marriage. As I was researching again this documentary, there were so many wives and husbands that wanted to throw in the towel. They just simply said, I can't handle this. So for you to not only go through but to come out, could you speak a little about what you're doing now, or what could you say to the viewers that are either caring for loved ones that are suffering with dementia, maybe um, wondering if some of the symptoms that they're having resembles that of dementia? What did you? I like how you said in the beginning what you had needed to do to have moments of sanity and peace was that you worked out, your diet was good, you had a wonderful prayer life. But tell me, after, what was that healing process? And Robin Robinson, she has joined us on YouTube, and she
Another
says,
one of my support sisters.
yeah, so you've got a lot of support tonight. Um, Tell me what you're doing now, sis, because you don't look like what you went through.
Thank
Trust
you.
me, and I know you've been through the fire.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
BFF and your girl, Grace Lindsay sends a shout out.
Oh, hey, Grace.
Yeah, we were talking about you the other night. Um, Caring for our parents, switching roles with partners, and my mother, she passed of COPD. So I
Mhm.
had to watch that for 10 years. So the hallucinations and the calls from the ER, the struggle of looking at someone that you love dying and feeling like there's just absolutely nothing that you can do, the helplessness that you feel, it's overwhelming. But again, tell me what you're doing now, sis, because you look amazing, right? Tell me what you're doing now to feel again, to live again, to breathe again.
Well, initially, I came out, I waited like 6 months and I traveled quite a bit. Uh, Europe, Paris, Hawaii, Belize, home. And now that I've got that out of my system, thinking that was really going to help, it was great. Everyone invited me to these places. I was able to travel on points. But now I'm dealing with the real. Um, I'm praying that prayer life is essential. There's no way of getting. I need that. I'm exercising. I now have a trainer, amazing trainer. I went back to the gym that I went to over 30 years ago. Got Muscles. Thank you. The entire Got
Mm-hmm.
Muscles
Mm-hmm.
tribe. It's a vibe in that place that carry me through.
Okay.
Um, so I'm working out hard. Hard. I'm eating right. I'm probably 75. Yeah, that's me and my boo bear working out. And we did a lot of that when he was here. That's what kept his agitation down, the workouts I did with him. Um, so I'm about 75, 80% plant based. I feel better. That helps me. Um, uh, Mainly those two things, spiritually, mentally, physically. My support groups, I still have my support groups with the Lewy body. I still have the support group that it just kind of came together. We're African American wives. That's Robin Robinson that you saw chime in. We meet and sometimes we're talking about the disease, and times we're talking about whatever else. A lot of laughter, crying, whatever we need to do, we do. Um, I keep positive people around me.
Mm.
But I've always done that. Even in the salon, I tried to keep it positive. Um, I don't want
Yeah.
what.
I'm thinking about Manera back in the day, Carla. It was if people don't know about um, hair salons and barbershops, it is definitely a culture all by
Oh yeah.
itself, and you definitely have to monitor because it can get different.
Yeah, it
So
was
you
a
had
very lively place.
so your foundation in your recovery was definitely rooted in prayer, your personal relationship with the Most
Most
High,
definitely.
a great diet, exercise, and your environment.
My
I think
environment
those
is.
are four key factors
Mm,
that people can take away. I wish I had another 2 hours
I know,
to,
because there's so much I didn't even touch on.
you know, so my roommate, uh, she said that this might have to be a two-part
Okay.
discussion. So I might have to bring you back later on in the month of April, maybe to touch on what you're doing now. Life coaching. We talked a little bit about that in terms of dealing with people on that are going through what you're going through, and everybody is not going to have the will, the insight, and so I know that that's going to be pretty difficult for you. Carla, is there anything before we have this game I play at the end of the interviews called Rapid Fire, and it's the verses. But I want you to take this moment, just look into that camera, and there's anything that you could say to anyone that is caring for a parent or guardian or loved one struggling with dementia. What would you say?
Don't forget to laugh, get support, ask for support, receive support. Take care of your health. You know, it's easy to fall into denial, but don't. Accept what it is and just get the education and the knowledge you need to make this journey it's not pleasant. I want to say a more pleasant journey, but it's not. There's nothing pleasant about this journey. But if you could learn to laugh through it, that would be good. We did a lot of laughing. I will say that I usually end any conversations with a story.
Okay.
That happened with me and Patrick. One day I got home. He said, babe, come here. Come in the back. So, and the title of this story is, although Alzheimer's and dementia is no laughing matter, laughing really does matter.
Mm.
So he says, babe, come here. There's a truck.
Hold on one second. I want y'all to hashtag that out. Laughing matters. I want y'all to hashtag that out. Hashtag laughing matters. T-Car shoots out. Glad you had a great support system. Rakita is praying. Love you, sis, from Atrice Brown. And they said the story is hilarious. So go ahead. Let me now you know we laughing at the story. So go ahead, sis.
So, babe, come here. There's a truck on top of the fence. What? Come here. I said, a what? A truck on top? He said, there's a truck on top of the fence. I said, what do you mean? He said, come here, I'll show you. Now, mind you, he was like a big truck. Now, the place that we were in was so small, like I said, 1180 square feet. I said, show me where the truck was. He takes me in the backyard. And guess what? The truck isn't on the floor. But he was saying, babe, there's a truck on the back fence. It was rocking back and forth like this. It couldn't get off. I'm telling you, it was there. I said, babe, it couldn't have been a truck up there. I said, sweetheart, do you think that maybe, just possibly, that you were having a hallucination? Because by this time, that was the first hallucination, but this time I had only heard about hallucinations.
Okay.
He says to me, I am not crazy. Oh, that's that side. You'll see those sides.
Right.
Like,
right.
Okay.
I bet you saw the truck then, huh? You saw it, didn't you? I see it.
Yeah, I stepped right on in it.
Ooh, that's a Ford Bronco, babe. Look at that.
Exactly.
A Chevy Silverado on that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. 4-wheel drive.
That's, I was just going to ask you,
well, let me finish. I didn't get to the end of that story.
Oh, okay.
So I go in the house and I sit on the edge of the tub and I put my head down.
Right.
I was like, oh, Lord, this journey is getting real. That was a hallucination. Here comes he's so good. He's still here. This little guy. Say hi.
Hey, Buddha.
He comes in and he's licking all on my hands as if to say, Mommy, it's okay. It's okay. You got this. You got this. It's okay. And I'm looking. I said, Choice, thank you for coming to live with us. His name's Choice because he was a good choice for us.
Okay.
He said, thank you. I said, thank you for coming to live with us. I just appreciate you choosing us to be your home.
Yeah.
Patrick busts out of the bedroom into the bathroom and he looks at me and he looks at the dog. He looks at me, eyebrows all tangled up in amazement. Looks at the dog, look at me. He said, you went here talking to the dog and you think I'm crazy?
Patrick. Who?
So we both, right. We both, yeah.
Same.
We both started laughing hysterically like we did when we first got married. We laughed probably about 5 minutes, just wheezing laughing. So I say that to say, although dementia is not a laughing matter, find the times and the places to laugh. It matters.
Now that was a word. That was a hashtag. Laughing matters. They blown it up. Hashtag laughing matters. They got the face emojis, the hashtags. Woo, Carla, my God, girl, you didn't have me in tears. You took me on an emotional roller coaster. I feel as if I walked through it. You brought us into the story, and again, I know that you probably have hours of information. Do me a favor. Make sure you get me some numbers that I can put up for people. So the support group numbers, just in case anyone, again, is listening who is taking care of a dementia parent or sibling. Whew, Queen, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Ready to play rapid fire?
Oh, Lord.
All right, let's ship.
Okay,
you already know.
bring it.
You ready?
Okay.
Well, I already know the answer to this one, but cats versus dogs.
Dogs.
All day long, baby. Weave versus a silk wrap flat iron.
Silk wrap.
Silk wrap, okay. What you done pissed off a whole lot of 18-inch.
Look at me now, okay?
They not understanding that all natural. They not understanding. Amusement parks or a Hollywood tour.
A Hollywood tour.
Hollywood tours, okay. Airbnb or a hotel. I know, right?
Depends on the situation.
Okay, all right. Meat versus vegan. Summertime.
Plant-based all the way, baby.
Barbecue.
Well, 80%.
Hamburger, barbecue ribs, vegan, huh? Okay.
You know what? Okay, transparency. I ate a Boca burger today, and it's not those. I got my stomach is talking. I'm not. My stomach.
Just give you some vegetables.
Yeah, give me some.
Yeah. Vegetables. Okay. All right. Whispers versus Lakeside.
Whispers.
Okay. Michael Jackson versus Prince. This has been the topic forever.
Wow, that's a tough one.
Where your tequila? You gotta take a shot if you can't answer it.
How about some water? Here, I'll take some.
I'm drinking coffee. Look, Carla. So, no, Michael Jackson versus Prince. Okay. Alvin Ailey Dances versus Circus du Soleil.
Alvin Ailey.
That's right. Whitney versus Mariah.
Whitney.
All day long, right?
Whitney.
All day long.
Whitney.
Monique versus Simone.
I can't say I haven't seen a lot of both of them. That's another tough one.
Monique's been on a hot topic.
Yeah.
She just is airing out, all of the business everywhere. She just, And in one breath, I think it's good that we have the opportunity, to share our truth. And then the other argument is, share it in privacy, So yeah, she's going through it right now. But
Yeah.
Carla, I want to thank you so much for, again, like your sister said, being a trailblazer. I pray that God open up doors for you to share your testimony, to minister and educate and engage people, especially our people, around the topic of Lewy body dementia. It has been an amazing night tonight. I want to thank everyone for hanging in there with us and for supporting Carla. Carla, you got so much love out here tonight. Again, we want to thank you for uh, tuning into another episode of No Blankets Podcast. Again, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for further uh, information on different topics that we're going to address. Again, this space is to highlight the accountability of leadership. And Carla, as a wife, you did just that. Thank you, my sister, and thank y'all. This is your girl, C. West. You've been listening to No Blankets Podcast, and I'm out.